How's everybody this morning? Okay, today we are celebrating. How many of you are Irish? Irish? You got one Irish one? Anybody here wearing your grade? Okay. Anybody like Irish coffee? Hey guys, I was looking at my calendar countdown a couple of days ago, and I think we have about 290, 289 days or so left in the year. Is that about right? Is that about right? And I also went to look at my personal goals, the goals that I set for myself, and the goals that I set for the company. And I will share with you the goals that I set for myself for this year, and I'll pass it around and let you all see it, and let you also know on the record that I am nowhere near it. I am nowhere near it, and I'll tell you why. Because I haven't really been doing what I need to do to be near it. I've been all over the map instead of focusing on the things that I really need to focus on for my own personal business. I have not reached any goals. I have 0 new listings and 1 transaction that's closed this year. And this year's goal was for me to have 4 listings each month. So I'm about 10 listings behind right now because we're halfway through March, right? So I'm having a look at myself, and I don't like what I see. But I tell you what, it's not going to stay that way. I am committed to changing and going back to doing the things that I need to do, trying to figure out how to do all the things that I need to do and still have a life that I enjoy with doing some of the other things that I want to do. And so today what I want to do is, this is a wake-up call for me. Hopefully it will be for you as well. How many of you have a business plan? Okay, great. You do? Nope. No business plan? Okay, so what I'll do at the end of the day, I'll email you a blank business plan so that you can have a business plan template. And then you can use that as a way to begin to map out what you want to do for the remainder of the year. We still have almost 300 days left in the year, so there's a lot of time for us to catch up. But it's going to require extra effort on your part to catch up, just like it's going to take extra effort on my part. Last year, at the end of the year, I shared with you my goals, and I shared with you how I was able to achieve a large part of my goals in terms of the monetary parts of my goals. And I'm afraid to keep saying that for the fear of people thinking that I'm just bragging and boasting about me. But I just want you to know that I have the ability, with God's help, to reach these goals. But without his help, I'm going to fall flat on my face. And I don't want you to fall flat on your face. So we talked before about having accountability partners. And how many of you have an accountability partner? 1, 2. Okay. How many of you actually talk to your accountability partner about your goals? You do. Okay, you do. All right, very good. So the ones who have accountability partners and you talk to your partners about it, how many of you are on track? I see your hands. Okay, so we have 1 hand shaking, and out of the room of people here, there was only 1 hand shaking, saying, for those of you who are catching us on the GoTo meeting, there's only 1 hand shaking here for the people who are actually on track with their goals. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? Your business plan is a roadmap to where you want to go. If you're going on a trip and you're driving, typically you're going to either have a navigation system in place or you're going to have a roadmap, right? And you're going to plot out your course where you want to go, and you need to work on your business plan every day. If you do not work on your business plan every day, your business plan will not become real. It'll just be a piece of paper that you looked at the beginning of the year or at the end of last year when you put it together. You need to hold yourself accountable, and sometimes it's hard to hold oneself accountable. So you may have to get somebody else who's not going to put up with your stuff and go along with your excuses and actually hold you accountable to what you say you want to do. After all, this is what you say you want to do. It's not what they're telling you to do. It's what you've made a commitment to do for yourself, right? So I'm going to go over some things here that will hopefully help you. I know Rodney has a business plan, And Rodney shared a story with me. I think it was a true story, so it wasn't a story. It was a saga, something that actually he's experienced. Rodney, you want to just tell us real briefly what got you the fire under you?
Well, it was like this, guys. My situation, and my situation brought a lot of fear into my mind because I didn't know in the condition I was in financially and the obligations that I had, for my family, whether or not I was going to be able to provide for them the way, I need to. And I especially thought about my asset was going to happen to my family. And so, I was kind of like almost like the deer in the headlights, didn't know what to do. But, really calmed down. I had a meeting with my broker here, and we talked about my business plans and things I used to do. And, he's good at reminding us, what we're good at. He can see, we all can see what features we have. And so, again, with mental health, I kind of got my focus together. I'm coming in the office a lot earlier. I started working a lot longer, and my production has gone sky high. And again, it was all something that, again, started with me really feeling afraid that I wasn't going to make it. Not only just me, but both after my family. I couldn't make it. And so, again, it was a reality check.
Thank you, Rodney. How about it for Rodney? Hey, whatever it takes to motivate you to do what you say you want to do. Some of your greatest motivation may not be the taking care of your family. Maybe your family's all well taken care of already. Maybe you just want to, put your kids through college and not add that burden to your spouse. Maybe you don't want your spouse to have to stay in that job that they're in, putting up with what they're putting up with, and the reason they're staying there is because they're thinking, I got to pay for this tuition, right? And so maybe that could be a motivation. Maybe it could be a vacation that you want to take. Perhaps you want to take a week off or even a month off for the year, and in order for you to do that, you need money, right? Some of you may want to invest into properties or other kinds of investments. In order for you to do that, you need to have a number of dollars in order for you to do that, right, and still do it comfortably. So I want you to just dig deep down within yourself and ask yourself, what is it that's going to motivate me to do what I need to do? And just get serious with yourself, and you may require some time to do what I call them knee mails. Everybody got a knee? Got some of your knees? Touch your knee. All right. You know what an email is? It's a prayer. An email is a prayer. Getting on your knees and praying that those things will go up and you will get some help because maybe you can't do it by yourself. Many of us, it's hard for us to stay on track without having some help. So I want to encourage you, whatever it is that's going to get your attention, like something's got my attention, right? I know that I'm better than this, and I know that my results stink. Anybody speak Spanish? For not being, I don't want to be too crude, but it's kind of like puro pedo. Anybody ever hear that? Nope. That's okay. I won't go any further into it. It's not good. It stinks. All right. So what I want to do is go into a couple business plans, and let's see if I can open one up here. I'll open up a business plan for a young man who I've been mentoring. His dad and I were very good friends, and so I reached out to him because his dad died prematurely. His dad was the president of the California Association of Realtors a couple of years ago, and he passed away suddenly right around Labor Day. He was like, 60 years old, and he just gone. And so he left some grandchildren and two sons and a mother. And the son was kind of reeling, trying to figure out what he wanted to do. So I talked to my friend's mother, who is the grandmother of this young man, and I said, why don't I help him put together a plan of action so he can really start doing some business this year, because his dad had been always feeding him leads, and now dad is gone, right? So he needs to do it on his own. So let's kind of walk through, if we can, this business plan. I'm looking for my pointer. Rodney, do you know where it might be? Ask Bonnie. She may know. Okay. I don't know if you guys can read this. Can anybody read it? All right. So let me see if I can. Thank you, Rodney. How many of you have seen this template before? All right. Anybody here? This is a blank one here. I gave you one, right, Anna? Okay. Let me see if I can get this to be a little bit bigger. Is that better?
Yep.
Is that good enough? Is that better? Is that better? You can't see it? Do you wear glasses? Huh? Can you see it? Okay, let me try one more. I thought. Okay. And what did he say? All right. Okay. So let's get started here. At the top is where your name is going to go. Your name is going to go here at the top. Okay. Let me just try it one more and just get one more magnification and see if this helps. Can you turn that light off for me? Is that better? All right. So up here is where Greg Reyes will go. His name will go there, the firm you work with, right? And the date that you write your business plan and the period from which your business plan is written. And then you're going to put here your purpose. He says creating a, what does that say? A strong body, mind, and spirit. That's part of his purpose in life. And his values are service before self, giving back, making life easier by using technology, enjoying your journey. And so you're going to go across the top, and you're going to complete these things here, and you may have to think about these things and figure out, well, what is your purpose? He had an action to live by. His action to live by was teamwork makes the dream work. Stay hungry. Teamwork makes the dream work. Stay hungry. So that's what he came up with. This is very personal. So each of you have to come up with what makes sense for you, okay? Now, over here, under opportunities for success, I'm sorry, before I go there, he had values. And I'll read to you. It says service before self, giving back, making life easier by using technology, enjoying your journey. And then under opportunities, he says target marketing in areas where minorities have little options. So that's his target. He wants to target market. He lives in Inglewood, so he wants to work in the Inglewood market because there's a lot of minorities who live in the Inglewood market. So his office is in Linwood, but he's chosen to work more in Inglewood because he feels like he has more in common with the people in Inglewood. The Linwood community mostly is Spanish-speaking. He doesn't speak Spanish. And so he thought he would go more to the Inglewood market, which is a market that he feels has a number of minorities. Train and develop my team. So he knows that in order for him to reach his goal is $120,000 a year. In order for him to reach his goal and still have a life, he has 2 small children and a wife. He wants to have other people help leverage him to be able to reach his goals. Using a CRM. Anybody knows what a CRM is? Client relationship management, a database management system. How many of you have a database management system? Can I see your hand? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wow, that's great. All of you except for one have a database management system. How many of you actually input entries in there every business day? Okay, so several of you do it, and others of you just use it to say hi to your friends, I guess, right? You need to add to your database management system. It's a powerful tool that can help you grow your business. Keeping in mind that real estate is 24 hours a day job, and I'm always interviewing to be hired for every personal encounter. In other words, he sees himself as always on a job interview. He always has to look his part, look his best, right, for that job interview, and he always has to try to convince that employer to hire him. He goes after listings. And so his employer are who? Sellers. Sellers are his employers. And so let's go over to the next area here, which is, let's see here. Challenges or threats. These are things that could stop him from reaching his goal. And he said that it could be social, leisure, lifestyle, partying, drinking, going out too much. He's a young guy. So he's saying these are the things that are likely to cause him not to reach his goal. And then household stability, you know, making sure there's enough money coming in to keep his house in order, right? So those are the things that he deemed to be things that could cause him not to reach his goals. Those are threats. Can you think of any other threats that may cause you not to reach your goals or cause someone not to reach your goal? Can anyone share anything? Getting sick, okay? So that means you need to eat better, exercise more, reduce your stress, right? You have less of a chance of getting sick. Maybe even take food supplements and vitamins, things like that will prevent you or limit your getting ill. Anything else that could cause a threat for you? Family emergencies? Yeah, you know, sickness in the family, death in the family, loss of loved one, hospitalization, someone becomes disabled, incapacitated. All these are things that could cause a threat to you. I think there are a couple other threats that I know of, and that is, one is called procrastination. Mañana, 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 putting it off for tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, and then another one is a big threat is something that starts with an F and it ends with an R. Who knows what it is? Fear. Fear. But that one starts with an F and ends with an E, right? Failure, it's an E, right? Fear. This is a big stumbling block for a lot of folks. They're fearful. One, they're fearful that they can't do it. And so they don't set goals because they don't want to be held accountable in case they don't reach those goals. They don't feel like a failure, right? And then some people are afraid to talk to people. They're afraid to reach out of their comfort zone, so they keep doing what they've been doing all along, and they get what they got, right? So fear is a big impediment for people being successful. Some people have a fear of being too successful. They like hanging out with their friends. They like hanging out with the people in their income bracket, and they think that if they start making $250,000 or more a year, that they're not going to be able to identify with their friends that they have. They won't be able to hang out with those people. And so they sabotage themselves. I've seen people who start out having a really good year, and then within a few months after making it really good, and they maybe have 6 or 7 months to go, they start doing nothing. They start sabotaging themselves because they're fearful that they're going to lose their own personal identity. Okay? So I'm just kind of give you a few ideas of what people go through. And let me just walk, if I can, through some of the numbers. Can you all want to go through the numbers? Yes. Okay, so here's what he said. He says, I want to make $120,000 a year, right? And he's saying that in the first quarter, which is the end of March, first quarter is almost over, he wants to have made $30,000 by the end of the first quarter. So he's measuring what he's doing. And so what I want you guys to do is measure. And the way you can measure these things is you look at the average price property that you represent, your typical commission that you have, and then you can begin to put quantifications or metrics on how many transactions do I need to close in order for me to reach my financial goals. So you need to look at your past history. If you have no past history, you need to look at the price range property you have a willingness and desire to focus on and do it based on that. So you take the average price property, the average commission you take home, and then you can figure out how many transactions you need in order for you to reach your financial goal. His goal is to take 37 listing appointments. That's his goal for the year. 37 listing appointments for the year, and he wants to list 14 properties before the year is over. So 37 listing appointments and 14 properties listed. By the end of the first quarter, he wants to have had 4 listings taken. As I shared with you, my goal was to get 4 listings per month. I'm 2.5 months into the year. I should have at least 10 listings. By the end of this month, I should have 12 listings, right? So, yes? For me, personally, or just a person in general?
Just for you, and then, what someone new in the business can expect.
I would say for every listing appointment I go on, I'll probably get 70% of those listings, and 30% I won't get. 70%, and this is my own personal. So 3 of the people in 10 will not list with me for whatever reason. 7 of them will list with me. So the key for me and the driver for me is just to set the appointment, because I'll take those odds all day long, 70-30. In general, it depends on how much experience you have. If you have a good listing presentation, if you're confident and you practice your script, when you start out, you may have a 40% to 50% ratio of success, where 40% of the listings you go on, you get the listing. But as you practice your script, do your role playing, and know your market, your chances of getting a listing each time increases. And so you have to practice, you have to practice, you have to practice, right? You have to set appointments. And you have to know your market. People will list with you if they think you know what you're talking about. If they think they know more than you know, there's a good chance you're not going to get the listing. They're going to go with someone who they think will help them. If they think they're helping you all the way through, why should they go with you? Does that make sense? All right, so hopefully that answered your question. All right, so listings closed. He wants to close of those 14 listings that he's taken. He says, I want to close 11 of them by the end of the year. And by the end of the first quarter, he wants to close 3 of the 4. So that's pretty ambitious, closing 3 of the 4. Most of those probably will be listings that are priced really well because, you got a 30, 45-day escrow, and you're going to be able to close, right? Buyers close. He wants to close 7 buyers for the year. So he's only working half as hard on buyers as he is on sellers. and by the end of the first quarter, he wants to close 2 buyers. So at the end of the first quarter, he wants 5 transactions closed. So that's a little bit more than 1 a month. Would you agree? It's about 1.2, 1.25 a month. I think that's what it is. And database. His database, he says 170 people on his database. Those of you who have databases, how many people do you have on your database? A couple thousand? Okay. All right. 400. How about you? 50. Okay. All right. So here's what I want you to know. It's great to have a database, and you should make it a commitment to increase your database every day. Every day that you work. If you work 5 days a week, you should be adding entries into your database every working day. Okay? However, what you'll find out is as you go through your database, you need to do what I call scrubbing your database. Yes. You need to scrub your database, which means cleaning it out. You may find out that some of the folks in your database have unsubscribed to you. You send them an email and it's unsubscribed. So why do you want to keep them on your database? They don't want you on their database. They want to be on your database. So scrub them out. Some people may have, decided they don't like you anymore because you didn't date them anymore, right? So you take them off your database, right? Some people may have moved out of the area and they don't want you to be in touch with them anymore. Maybe you had a database and there were some family members and you sided with one side of the family and somebody else sided with the other side of the family, and so they don't want to talk to you anymore, or you don't want to talk to them anymore, so you get them off your database. Maybe you work with people and they just said, you know what, I don't want to work with you. Please stop sending me stuff. Guess what? Take them off. Right? We were talking to Paul Yu last week. He had a database, I think he said, of 1,500, and he scrubbed it down to like 600 people now. He's gotten rid of all those people who are not likely to do business with him. So just having massive numbers alone is not going to get you what you want. You need to have a good database, but you have to start adding people to your database. And what are some of the people that you would add to your database? Can you think of someone? Your sphere of influence. Sphere of influence is like if you decide you want to get married, you have a wedding, you got all the money you want, you're going to invite all the friends. So everybody that you have as a friend would likely be a person that you want to do business with, right? I would not say that everybody on your Facebook friend account is a good database source for you. Would you agree? Not everybody there. Some people don't want to buy a house. Some people are realtors, right? And so look at your database and add to your database. Okay, referrals to lenders. He says he's going to refer 35 folks to lenders. Why would he do that? Why would you refer somebody to a lender? Maybe the lender refers somebody back, but also every time you refer a prospective borrower to a lender, that means that person's probably going to get pre-qualified. Everybody you show a house to, hopefully you're getting them pre-qualified before you show the house, right? Also, a lot of us have clients, we've been in business for a long time, and so we have clients that own property, and you call them up to see how they're doing, and you find out they're not ready to sell their house, but guess what? They may be ready to refinance. You may be able to save them $200 to $300 per month just by making that telephone call, and they're not ready to sell their home. But because you help them save $200 to $300 a month, do you think they're going to be happy with you? Do you think they're going to want to refer somebody to you? So what I want you guys to do is get off your your comfort zone and start calling your past clients and ask them, well, I see you've been in your home. Did you know, by the way, do you all know that the mortgage rates are going up soon? Do you all know that? Well, if you don't, I'm telling you, they're going up. And so all those people who've been sitting on the fence, it's time for them to get off the fence because they're going to end up paying more for the same property that they would have if they had a lower interest rate. Interest rates today are below 4, but they're going to go up. This year's projections is about 4.5%. That could make a huge difference. I have clients that I've sold property to last year, and they got a loan for 4.75, 5%, and guess what? They're getting refinanced now below 4%. I'm not getting a dime out of them. I'm just helping them lower their monthly payments. And do you think that's a good thing to do? So some of you may think, oh, I'm not going to get any business out of it. No, don't worry about that. It'll come back to you, okay? All right, so lender referrals. The other one we want to look at is, Lillian, do you have your hand up? Okay. All right, so escrow referrals. Every time you have an offer that gets accepted, you should be referring it to an escrow. Don't you agree? Every time you write an offer, I would love for you to write Alpha Omega Escrow, right, even when you represent the buyer. Most agents think that, oh, I got to give that listing agent the escrow. Sometimes the listing agent doesn't really care about the escrow. Sometimes they do. I will tell you, I've never lost a transaction because of the escrow. Have any of you lost a transaction because of the escrow? I've never. And I've had 700 and some transactions closed. Never lost a transaction because of the escrow. Because at the end of the day, if that makes the difference, guess what? I'm going to do what's in the best interest of my client, which is get the sale closed, right? So I want to encourage you guys to do that. Okay, let me move on if I can. Prospecting calls. He's saying he's only making 500 calls. What do you guys think about that a year? It's a good start. Yeah. Yeah. Less than 50 a month. It's about 40-something calls a month. That's not a lot of calls. That's like you're averaging 4 or 5 calls a day. How many of you know it only takes a half hour to make 4 or 5 calls a day? It doesn't take that long, does it? So if you think about the totality of your time, how much time you have, and you ask yourself, what am I spending my time doing? Well, you need to do a little bit more in the business realm because guess what? You are in business. All right, property showings, 15,000 emails or print media. So how much does it cost you to send an email out? Free? Oh my gosh, it's free. Now, I want you guys to get with this. There's so much information that's available at car.org. There's so much information available at realtor.org. There's so much information out there. This is free, things that have already been written. You don't have to write a thing. All you have to do is point and click and send it out to your database. And guess what? Just that one little message sent out every other week to your clients, guess what? Pretty soon they're thinking about you when they think about real estate because you are their real estate resource. But if you don't do that, guess what? Somebody else is doing it. Okay? All right, any questions before I move on? Open houses. He wants to do 40 open houses a year. So that's, how many weekends do we have in a year? 52, and how many days in a weekend? 2. So that's like 100 and some days that you can actually do open houses. So he's giving himself a lot of time off, but he's saying, I'm going to do 40 open houses. And guess what? You don't have to just do an open house on the weekend. It's novel to do an open house during the week because you don't have much competition when you do an open house during the week. Did you know that? And especially in the summertime when the days are longer and there's more sunlight, you can do an open house when people come home from work. And guess what? You may get a lead out of that. All right? Okay. All right. So let me move on if I can. He didn't put anything down for caravanning. I would encourage you all, especially those of you who are new in the business, caravanning is essentially looking at the market. Every time a property comes up for sale in the market that you want to serve, you need to know what that property is about. That's how you become an expert. There's no other way around it. You just got to get out and see properties. And if you make a commitment to see 4 or 5 properties a week, pretty soon you're going to be really good at what you do. You're going to know what's going on in your neighborhood that you're working, right? All right, so here's what he wants to do. He wants to, he's taking no holidays off. Wow. Well, he's taking 6 days off, he says, for the quarter, but nothing for the year. That doesn't quite add up. Okay. Personal health and fitness. He's going to work out 320 days of the year. Wow. Must be Keith Tan. You work out that many days? Oh, how many days?
I'm not as consistent, probably like 2 or 3. Yeah.
Oh, a week.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, okay. All right. So you got about 150 days. Okay. Very good. Okay. All right. I always thought you were working out all the time. You had me faked out. All right. Personal wealth. This is what he wants to do. He wants to put aside $15,000. $15,000. How many of you would like to have a fatter bank account? Anybody here at all? Right? You got to put money aside, but you have to make the money first to put it aside. And he wants to own another unit. He wants to own a property before the year is up. Isn't that a great goal to set, that you're going to own a property? And I'll tell you, the more money you make, the more you better own property because you're going to need a tax write-off. If you don't have a tax write-off, you're going to be really not happy when you do your taxes because you're going to owe the government a lot of money. Okay, I'll share that with you. All right, so email contacts, he's saying 30. Oh, wow, social media, he's saying create 12 videos. All right, so are you all getting it? Now, beyond belief, he wants to, this is his dream for the year. His beyond belief is purchasing 2 income properties for the year, right? He wants to have a satellite office with 3 agents working with him. These are some of his personal goals for the year, right? He's building a team around him. He wants to get 3 other agents working on his team. All right, 3 areas of focus. Hiring someone to handle the mail, marketing, and transaction coordinating. What do you think about that? He's thinking, I want to have a life. I don't want to just go to work every day. I want to have somebody I can delegate these things to. And I'll tell you, I've done this since 1987. I've had an assistant, typically a full-time assistant, since 1987. This was not fashionable in 87. 87, people were like, everybody was putting their heads down, just doing their own thing. And I was like, man, I want to enjoy life. I want to do other stuff. I want to hang out with my kids. I want to hang out with my wife. I want to go to their sports events, and I want to go to church, and I want to do all these different things. So guess what? I built into my budget that I was going to pay somebody to do the things that I didn't want to do. I know that I needed them to be done, but I didn't want to do them. And so I just have to work a few more transactions. Just think about this. Back in the day in 87, I could pay somebody $25,000 a year to be a full-time assistant. That's what I could do back then. Then later on, in 2000, I was paying someone like $40,000 a year to be a full-time assistant. Part of that was just a base pay every month. I give them a salary no matter what. But then I also incentivized them that every transaction I closed, I gave them a percentage of my transaction. And so I was able to have the quality of life that I have because I had an assistant. So I want you guys to think about that. If you really want this to be a business and not just a hobby, you might want to think about that. Okay? All right, so marketing to an area where I have listings. I asked him, I said, Jason, what do you do when you get a listing? He says, I just go try to get another one. I said, Jason, do you let the neighbors know that you listed that property? Well, I put a sign up. I said, Jason, what would happen if you did a mailer to everybody in that neighborhood, 250 to 300 homes, and let them know I just listed a property? I'll tell you, this is what I do. And I said, Jason, what would happen after that listing closed, you send out another mailer saying, just sold? It's a powerful, powerful statement. It lets people know that you're in it and that you sell properties and you close transactions. And so you need to go back to your old listings closed or sales. Maybe you represent the buyer and not the seller. That's okay. Get out there and let people know. And in fact, if you have no business at all, guess what? You can still send out a just listed. Just listed, you give the company credit. Pinnacle Estate Properties at the bottom here, right? Just listed, $1.2 million property in my neighborhood, right, in your neighborhood, and then give them the credit at the bottom. Guess what? Your name is in big old bright fonts, right? You guys ever think about that? Okay, so that may be able to help you get into a higher price point than what you typically have been in case you want to go to a higher price point. All right, so marketing to areas where I listen, and then he's saying diversity. I'm not sure what that meant. Keys for personal and professional development. He must have been talking to Lillian. He said, dress the part. You got to look the part. Anybody ever play on a sports team? Anybody here at all? You have? You have? Anybody ever watch sports? Anybody? World Cup, any of that kind of stuff? Guess what? How many times? Anybody watch the World Cup a few months back? Yeah. How many guys did you see go on the playing field without their uniform? None. They don't let you on the field. If you play baseball, if you don't have a uniform on, guess what? You don't get in the game. And our uniform is what we look like, right? The other day I came to the office, I think it was a Friday, and I didn't have a tie on. Rodney says, oh my gosh, you don't have a tie on. It's like, he was used to seeing me in a certain uniform, and guess what? Within 30 seconds from the time that you meet a first prospect, they're going to make a decision about you. Within 30 seconds, it goes that quick. Within 30 seconds, they're going to make a decision about you. Do you want them to be a decision of, I don't know, this person got their flip-flops on, and, we're not on the beach in Malibu, so, I'm not sure if they're ready to go to work for me, right? Or maybe you didn't put any deodorant under your arm and they smelled you when you was coming 10 feet away. Or maybe you didn't brush your teeth and do those things you need to do. And they, they're like, oh, I really like this guy, but I can't stand him, right? All I'm saying is that these are parts of your uniforms. And you have to look the part. Whatever that part is you want to look, you better look it, right? If you don't, people make decisions. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter. It's what people perceive. Right? Okay, so he's saying he wants to dress the part. What's that? You and Mark. Okay, those are the, all right, there you go. All right, so sharpen his speech and articulation, developing every day using rather than just on business matters. In other words, he reads. You want to get your vocabulary better? Here's how you do it. Start reading. Reading material. That'll help your speech, right? This is how you do it. You don't have to go to class. You just have to practice. And if you really want to get help, you can join the Toastmasters. Go to someone who trains and they encourage you and they motivate you to speak better and speak with confidence. Maybe instead of you just meeting with one client at a time, you do a home buyer workshop and you got 10 of them. But if you're scared to death to talk in front of people, guess what? You're stuck to having one at a time. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So cutting back on leisure time. I guess he likes to party. Cutting back on leisure time. So these are some of the things he said he's going to do. And then what is he going to focus on the first quarter? He's going to focus on heavy marketing campaign. In other words, getting his message out. He's going to develop a consistency with teams and marketing and customer relations. And so these are the things that Jason is working on, and I want to encourage you guys to work on your own goals, okay? I'm going to close it down with that. We have about 5 minutes to go, and I wanted to share a couple updates with you on some things that are going on with the company. Can I do that? Are there any questions or comments about the business plan? Does anyone need any help? Raise your hand if you need help. Okay, we'll set an appointment with you, Virgil. Anyone else need any help? You'll have yours ready today? Great, okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right, so we got a couple of folks who are working on it now. So here are a couple of things. I had a meeting this past week with a couple of our associates and affiliates, and I was sharing with them, they wanted to share with me some things that they thought we could do different and better to improve our company. One of them was that we need to have meetings that we start on time and that we end on time. How do you guys feel about that? Yeah? All right. Will you guys all be here on time when the meetings, if the meetings start on time? Yeah. Okay, because we know people have a tendency not to be here on time. The other one is that meeting rules. One of the rules is that don't have your cell phone on noise. How many of you guys feel a little uncomfortable when people have their cell phone on their rings when you're in the middle of a meeting? Yeah, okay. All right, some folks had some concerns and questions about, see, I have mine on vibrate, okay, about, you know, asking you personally if you want to pray. How many of you feel uncomfortable? You don't need to raise your hand. If you do, you can blink your eyes. I can see you, okay? That if we put you on the spot and say, do you have any prayer requests? If you feel uncomfortable with that, just blink your eye like that, okay? All right. Okay, I see a lot of blinks. No, no, just kidding. No, just kidding. All right, so those are some of the things we talked about with respect to our meetings. We also talked about giving our meetings some value. Some of you have different skill set and different levels of experience. Some of you are very experienced. You've closed over 100 transactions or more in your career, so you have lots of experience. But you want to take your business to the next level. How many of you want to take it to the next level? Anybody here? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to relook at what we're training you, and we're going to design some training systems that will help those of you who are very experienced and get you to the next level. My goal for those of you who want to get to the next level, I believe that if you want to have balance in your life and get to the next level, you have to have other people working with you. You cannot do it by yourself. If you do it by yourself, something's going to give. Either your family life is going to give, your personal life is going to give, or your business is going to give. So you're going to have to do something different. My belief is that if you leverage yourself and get a few other people work, like you have a team, right? Get a few other people working with you on your team, then your business can grow, right? So I'm committed to helping those of you who want to begin to promote your own group, the Keith Tan group or the Virgil Tan group or the Mark Gilmore group or whatever group you guys have. I believe this is a great business model to have, but it requires some commitment on your part to make it work. I'm willing to give you the knowledge that you may not have now. I can share with you how I've been able to build teams over the years and help other people who have very successful teams. Okay, there's some legal things that you need to do with respect to your doing business as and how you should name yourself and the signage and what proportion of your name and the company name has to be so that you are not in conflict with the Department of Real Estate, or now it's called the California Bureau of Real Estate laws. We don't want you breaking the law, so we'll help you with that. Some of the other things we talked about, one of our goals is to reinstitute awards and recognition. And so we're going to start having awards for every month. Top salesperson, which means top number in dollars, top number in transactions. We're going to have top listings and top dollar volume in listings for every month. And then we're going to have the realtor of the month, which is the person with the top volume in dollars, but also use our services. Okay, so we're going to have that. And then every quarter, we're going to have a quarterly meeting, like we used to have meetings every month. We're going to have a quarterly meeting where we actually provide some snacks and foods. And my goal is to get a top producer from somewhere to come in and speak to us and tell us how they're closing 100 listings a year, how they're closing $200 million in sales, so that we can have that. And I'm going to require a lot of your help to help me get through those things. Okay, so that's what I wanted to announce today. It is 10:59 a.m., so I'm going to close it down right now. All right? Thank you all so much, and we'll talk next time, okay? I'll email it to you. I'll email it to you so it's fillable. Yeah, that way you can just fill it out on your computer. It makes it a lot easier. And that way you can change it whenever you want to. And yeah. Uh-huh. Huh? Oh, okay, so you're doing not too bad.
No, yeah, no, I am.
I was there 3 times in 2 weeks. Second time, of course, the first time, I was always on the back of my head. What am I going to do? So, appreciate it.
It's right there.
People were trying to tell things to me. Hello. Hi, Mayor. How are you? Show the house today. Okay, you want me to show you the house again today? Okay, you tell me with the architect?